guy's scary good. What a shot!
Boxing's longest reigning champion returns.
Russell putting together combinations faster than a speeding bullet. With a beautiful right, wow!
Now Russell defends his title against undefeated Mark Magsayo, fresh off one of the year's biggest knockouts.
That fight is over!
Russell versus Magsayo for the 126-pound world title on Showtime.
Well, welcome to Atlantic City, or a place they call America's Playground, where on Saturday, the Borgata Hotel and Casino and Spa will be the playground for Showtime Championship Boxing, as the sport's longest reigning champion makes his return to the ring for the first time in nearly 2 years. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Custer, the host of Showtime Championship Boxing, and we are back. And Saturday, January 22nd, Showtime Championship Boxing kicks off a new year, a new boxing calendar right here in Atlantic City with a triple header of fights. And it all begins here at the Borgata Hotel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific time, as Mr. Gary Russell Jr. will be making the 6th title defense of his WBC Featherweight title against the unbeaten mandatory challenger Mark Magsayo in the main event. But, you know, we're going to begin the night with a good fight. A man that we've seen before, King Tug, an Olympic silver medalist, 12-2, Tukstat Nyambayar, taking on Sakaria Lukas, the Desert Storm, 25-1. He takes the place of Vic Pasillas, who came down with COVID. The Sakaria Lukas steps in to take on the challenge, fighting for just the second time here in the States. The co-main, it's a rematch of a fantastic fight that went down nearly 2 years ago. Petros Ananyan, he got the decision in an all-action fight against Subriel Matias. And then, of course, the main event, the champion, Gary Russell Jr., Mark Magsayo of the Philippines. Now, tickets still available. If you want them, Ticketmaster.com. Ticketmaster.com is where you need to go to get your tickets. And of course, this entire event is being promoted by TGB Promotions and brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions. So let's talk about the fights. Let's hear from the fighters. And let's start. King Tug, 12-2, 9 knockouts. King Tug, we saw you not too long ago taking on Chris Colbert. Really good fight in Carson, California. What do you want to do differently on Saturday that maybe you didn't get accomplished against Chris Colbert?
Одоо өөрөө жиндөрж байгаа болохоор сайхан тоглолт үзүүлнэ. Өөртөө итгэлтэй.
Yeah, I believe in myself, and this is a great fight. You know, I'm ready for this.
And could you ask King Tug, how different is it for him where he fought Colbert, he was a last-minute replacement. Now he has a last-minute replacement. How difficult is that from a training aspect for this fight?
Chris Colbert-тэй чи тоглоход short notice-ээр тоглосон те. Тэгээ энэтэй одоо чи бас адилхан бас богинохон хэмжээнд өөр тоглогчтой тоглож байна. Тэрний талаар бэлтгэнд чи өөр ямар нэг
зүйл тэ тоглолтыг харсан тэ хийх харах юм харсан. Хочно.
Yeah, I saw his fights, so I saw what I need to see, and I'll win the fight.
Sakaria Lukas, the Desert Storm. So you take this fight on short notice. Why did you say that this fight with King Tug is so important to your career?
First of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity. I want to thank BBC for giving me second opportunity. This is the stage where I want to be. And I'm ready to go. And because I don't want to go back where I'm coming from, I want to stay here, fight against this stage. And this is the dream for me when I was young to be fighting on the big stage in the USA. So and I don't want to go back to Africa and fight there. I just want to go visit and come back and fight in the state.
Sakaria, your only defeat of your career came here in the States, the last time you fought here in your U.S. debut. Tell everyone why this Saturday will be different. Why will you be victorious?
Style make fights. And the other guy was also a short notice, and he was a southpaw, and it was 3-day notice. So for me, I'm just ready to go and do what I do best. I know anything can happen. Talk is cheap, but once you get smacked, a punch in the face is a different story.
King Tug, listen, your opponent's ready. He's definitely going to come after you. It's no secret that at the top of this card is a guy that you've already faced. If you're victorious, would you like another crack at Mr. Gary Russell Jr.?
Yes. I would love this fight. I would just this fight. I want winner.
Hey, it'll be worse the second go around.
There you go. This is the fight that opens the night. Now let's get to the co-main. And we start with Petros Ananyan. 16, 2, and 2. He's also got 7 knockouts, taking on Matias, 17 and 1. All 17 of his victories have come by knockout. His only loss to Ananyan. So Petros, listen, you won a very competitive, physical fight with Matias the first time around. Why in the heck do it again? If you beat him once, why do it again?
Ты один раз побил Матиаса, почему ты хочешь второй раз драться? Был очень тяжелый бой.
This fight, for me, very good opportunity. I'm ready. I'm ready to show big fight. And first time I want to say thank you so much, Matias, because this big chance for me. We all know here very hard situation, pandemic, and everything want fight, but impossible sometimes. And this fight for me, very good opportunity and chance. And I'm sure, I promise, tomorrow, after tomorrow, sorry.
And you say that this is a great opportunity. You believe a victory does what for you this time?
Ты считаешь, что это очень большой шанс для тебя, и что тебе даст победа в этом бою?
One step. Chance is be world champion. Everything I think, believe and want to be world champion. And this fight, other fight, doesn't matter for me. This fight, one step up.
Subriel, you look back at that first fight. You had, it seemed like, control of that fight until about the 7th round. And then many believe that you faded in the second half of that fight. How do you redeem yourself on Saturday?
Subriel, en la primera pelea, todos piensan que tú tuviste el control hasta lo que fue el 7º asalto. De ahí en adelante vieron todos que bajó un poco lo que es el estamina y todo eso. ¿Qué es lo que tú piensas que pasó y cómo te vas a reivindicar en esta próxima oportunidad que se te está dando?
One second. My English is not good, but I want try to work in English. First time, guys. First time, Ananyan team, and thanks for the best promoter in Puerto Rico, the senior Ivan Orengo. Thanks to PBC for this great opportunity for me to show the world who I am and who is the orgullo of maternillo. And thanks my family. My mom is the first time she is come to see me, and I'm excited.
That's great.
So I think I'm great for this. So let's get it. Saturday is Showtime.
Love it. So, I guess the question is, how do you redeem yourself? Looking back at that first fight, you know, many people said, I thought Matias faded in the second half of that fight. How do you redeem yourself?
Mira, ahora no voy a hablar inglés. Realmente, nada, creo que el sábado en la noche van a ver y van a contestar ciertas preguntas.
Saturday, I think you're going to see it, and Saturday, I think you'll be able to answer your own question.
Okay. How about this? All of your wins have come by knockout. Will you knock out Ananyan on Saturday?
O es él o soy yo. Ya esta pelea es más que una pelea para mí. Creo que es algo que tiene que pasar para yo continuar con mi carrera.
It's either him or me, but it has to happen, and this is something that needs to happen for me to redeem myself in my career.
Petros, he wants a knockout and certainly wants to redeem himself. What do you want to do better, I guess, the second time around here on Saturday?
Он хочет выиграть нокаут, он хочет реабилитировать себя. Что ты собираешься сделать во втором бою?
Oh, this fight, just fight. I believe my heart ready boxing. I love boxing. Knockout, no knockout, this doesn't matter. I wanna show good boxing only. And of course I win, I'm sure, but only God know who win. Yeah, and I think we all show good boxing for fans boxing, because I wanna all the time, I remember all time boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler, yeah. Now I think need this fight, same fight, boxing need this station.
Subriel, you said your mother's here watching you fight for the first time. That's got to be exciting for you. Did you promise her anything? Since this is her first time watching you fight, did you give her any promise since she's coming out here to watch you fight for the first time?
Subriel, esta es la primera vez que viene tu mamá a verte pelear. ¿Hubo alguna promesa? ¿Le prometiste algo en esta pelea? Ya que es la primera vez en la que ella viene a verte pelear.
Pues mira, cuando me refiero a la primera vez, me refiero fuera de Puerto Rico. Y sí, siempre hubo una promesa. Creo que desde el día 1 que empecé en el boxeo le dije que le iba a comprar su propia casa. Hasta el momento no lo he cumplido. Y creo que todavía sigue vigente esa promesa.
When I say the first time, I mean the first time she's seen me fight out of Puerto Rico. And yes, there's always been a promise since the first day that I began to box. I promised to buy her her own home. I have not completed that promise yet, but I guarantee you that promise is going to be completed.
Fantastic. That's great. That's the co-main. And again, it's a rematch of a fight from nearly 2 years ago. That was an all-action fight. And then we get to the main event, folks. Listen, you get one of the most talented boxers in the sport, Gary Russell Jr. People are always talking about, when is Gary Russell Jr. going to fight? Why? Because he's talented, and they want to see him fight. And he's got his hands full, because he's got the unbeaten mandatory challenger in Mark Magsayo, a puncher, a boxer, and had a hell of a fight against Schaub, where he had to come back and knocked out his opponent. All right, Mr. Russell, it's great to have you back, and you have certainly had to deal with so much personally outside of the ring. You've talked about your dad, who always has been your trainer. He certainly have had his issues medically. You even talked about the other day that you had been dealing with a slight injury in this camp as you trained yourself. Will any of that be a problem for you come Saturday night?
Hell nah. At the end of the day, I'm a gladiator. I'm a warrior. I love what I do. I love competing and showing the fans the skill set in which that I bring to the sport of boxing. We always been them type of people that got it from the mud. Nothing came easy for us. I'm never in unfamiliar territory. You know, I don't know anybody else that can cover for me.
It's one thing because, you know, generally we see you once a year, but it's been nearly 2 years since we've seen you. Father Time is undefeated.
That's right.
Any concern of ring rust, slippage at all from Mr. Gary Russell Jr. come Saturday night?
Nah, no concerns. I'm always in the gym. I never, my PI, somebody asked me when was the last time that I took 2 months off from training. That was probably since I was about 4 or 5 years old. You know, I'm always in the gym. Boxing is not just something that I do, it's a lifestyle for me. So even when at the conclusion of my sport, I still be in the gym, I still be training to keep myself in a certain type of condition, in a certain type of shape, regardless of what the situation is. So nah, no signs of ring rust. We put the work in the gym.
Mark, listen, he hasn't been very active. It's been nearly 2 years since he's fought. Do you think his inactivity and Father Time will be an advantage for you and be his undoing come Saturday night?
Hey everyone, he's a really good fighter. I've been wanting him to fight with me since I was a kid. I was aiming a world title fight. Now this is opportunity comes to me, so I was so excited when one of them mandatory Gary Russell. No ring rust for him. It's good.
5 have tried, Mark. None of them have been successful. You tell us why you're the guy who will finally dethrone Gary Russell Jr.
Maybe I'm the one who wants to beat him. Maybe the next the Saturday, in a second loss.
Gary, listen, you know every fighter has their critics. There's some big names out there. What's the message, I guess, you're trying to send to some of those big names who haven't gotten in the ring with you and to those critics of Mr. Gary Russell Jr. come Saturday night?
That's a tough question. Because to be honest with you, if I go out there and I destroy Mark come Saturday night, these big fights, they not going to be they already haven't been in a rush to step in the ring with me. So I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be willing to step into the ring with me then. My message is always the same, you know, to display my superiority in the ring. I believe in intellect over athleticism, no matter what the situation is. I take my head off to Mark because he's one of these guys that's willing to step in the ring and that's willing to actually compete and put it all on the line. He wants to become a champion. I know he's going to give it his best. A lot of these guys that become champions or that are champions, they tend to try to hide in the shadows at that point. They don't want to compete against the best. So I know Mark is going to bring his physical best. I know he wants it, you know. So it's a pleasure to be able to share the field of battle with you. That's it. That's all. We coming. We coming.
Mark, you know, opponents that Gary has faced, he's faced aggressive guys. He's faced some guys who can box. What's the skill set that you have that you say, you know what, he hasn't faced this, and this is the reason why I'm going to be victorious Saturday?
I can fight. I can adjust the fight in the middle of the fight. I have a speed. You speed. I have a speed. So let's see this Saturday. So let's brawl.
You know, you told the media on Saturday night, Gary Russell Jr. is going to find out what Filipinos are made of. Tell us what you meant by that.
Because there's a lot of here that I don't have skills like him, but Filipino is a Filipino. We're born strong. We are a warrior.
Love it. Lastly, Gary, you know, for those guys, and I'm talking about those big names who certainly are going to be watching this fight, what do you say to those guys?
Stop acting like a sucker and get in the ring. Point blank period. We're gladiators, we're fighters. Conduct yourself as such and be a fighter. Don't pick and choose who you're going to fight against. That's fight. Just like Mark said, he said he's going to show me what the Filipinos bring and what they mean. That's honorable. That's very honorable, for you to want to support not just yourself, but your people as a whole. That's what you're supposed to do. I wish a Leo Santa Cruz would be willing to do something like that. I'm pretty sure the Hispanic community would want Leo Santa Cruz to get into the ring and compete and fight. I mean, they probably don't even care if he loses. They just want to see him fight, show a sense of honor, show a sense of integrity. That's what we're looking at in the sport of boxing. I feel like the sport of boxing is getting weak to a certain extent, and it's the few guys like Mark and like myself that's willing to put it all on the line. I take my hat off to JoJo Diaz. I always got to shout out my man JoJo. And even King Tug, he was willing to put it all on the line, for the Mongolian people, to support them and a sense of honor and integrity. That's what we need in the sport. Let's keep it moving. Let's not let the sport get watered down anymore. We need real gladiators. We need real fighters.
I know we had COVID, and you certainly have talked about the things that you had to deal with from your family, from a personal issue over this past year. Do you believe 2022 is the year we'll see Gary Russell Jr. twice?
Man, God willing, I don't know. It's always up to God, man. I think we got a good chance at it, though. We're competing in the first month of the year, so God willing, we get through this match injury-free. Like I said, I got a slight injury right now, but no complaints, no whining, no bitching, no moaning. We get it from the mud anyway. We're going to give it our best, and if we get through this fight, I think we should be able to swing back around come mid-summer. That'll be our second bout in this year, and then we should be able to finish the year out strong, too.
So we could see Gary Russell Jr.
It's very possible that you can see me 3 times in a year, as long as we have a willing opponent, someone that's willing to actually compete. Like I say, I'm willing to move up and fluctuate my weight. I just refuse to relinquish or vacate my title to move up and stand in line. If I'm going to move up in weight, let me move up and compete against another champion. That's it, that's all.
Folks, it is a triple header of fights, and it all goes down here at the Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa in Atlantic City. Showtime Championship Boxing, 9 p.m. Eastern. That is 6 o'clock Pacific time. You do not want to miss it. Gentlemen, we're going to have a face-off. Let's start with the first fight of the night. So if we can get King Tug. Mr. Lukas. Sakaria Lukas. Tukstat Nyumbayar. King Tug, 12-2, 9 knockouts. Taking on the Desert Storm. 25-1, 17 knockouts. Looking for his 3rd straight win. This will be the first fight to start the broadcast off on Saturday night. We get to the co-main. Petros Ananyan. Subriel Matias. Petros 16, 2-2. 7 of his victories have come by knockout. And Subriel Matias 17-1. all 17 of his victories have come by knockout. His only defeat has come to Ananyan. And these two run it back on Saturday. And then we get to the main event. The WBC Featherweight Champion of the world, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., 31-1, 18 knockouts, taking on the unbeaten Mark Magsayo, 23-0, 19 knockouts. This will be an explosive main event. Russell, the current longest reigning champion in the sport of boxing. As we take a look at the entire card, here we go, folks. A triple header of fights. Showtime Championship Boxing, Saturday night, here in Atlantic City, from the Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa, as Showtime kicks off the new year in its boxing calendar. Gary Russell Jr., Mark Magsayo in the main event. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will see you Saturday night on Showtime Championship Boxing.
Gary Russell Jr., one of the most talented fighters in the sport. This guy's scary good. What a shot!
Boxing's longest reigning champion returns.
Russell putting together combinations faster than a speeding bullet. With a beautiful right. Wow!
Now Russell defends his title against undefeated Mark Magsayo, fresh off one of the year's biggest knockouts.
Fight is over!
Russell versus Magsayo for the 126-pound world title on Showtime.